Hello and welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real with Najeh. Hope you guys are having a great week. Lots going on in the sports world. Obviously, in college, the NCAA tournament kicked off today. A lot of action going on. B will be going on throughout the night. So excited for that. But in the high school world, we're gonna be talking about some lacrosse. Getting into what's been going on in the season. Major games this week, today, tomorrow, and Saturday. And then in the third segment, we'll be bringing on the head coach for Johns Creek. They are 9-1 this season. Stephanie Mathewson been having a phenomenal year. They beat Blessed Trinity, big win for them. So we'll be talking to her in the third segment to learn more about her team. In the second segment, we'll analyze a tell of the tape for basketball, and then we'll get into the final segment of top 10 headlines going into the weekend. So without further ado, let's talk some lacrosse. So biggest games this week. If we go to the boys' side, tonight one is really, really big, I think. Greater Atlantic Christian 6-2. They're going to play Roswell. I believe still undefeated. That is a big game tonight between those two teams who has aspirations of, winning a title winning a state title this season. So I think that is a matchup to watch out for. Kickoff time is 7:45 p.m. And it's a sport that's really growing a lot. Lacrosse, compared to where it used to be back in the day, compared to where it is now. You have professional lacrosse, like now in Georgia, you have the Georgia Swarm. It's really picking up rapidly. And this year we actually expanded in the GHSA. It used to be just Class A through 5A, and then 6A, 7A. But now this year it's going to be Class A through 4A, 5A through 6A, and then 7A has its own individual classification. So another big game, I think, is going to be Pope versus Lambert. That's going to happen on Saturday. Lambert, as you guys know, defending state champions. They have 2 losses this season, but you can't count them out. They have a wealth of experience and really great players. I think them versus Pope will be a really good one. And then on the boys' side, another great matchup, I think, on Saturday will be Stars Mill versus Buford. Both teams only have 2 losses this season. Both have been playing some great lacrosse this year. I think that is another matchup to watch out for. And then on the girls' side, Roswell versus Hillgrove on Friday. That's going to take place. I think that's going to be a really good game between both of those teams. Both of those teams will be battling it out. And then Etowah versus Lambert also on Friday. I think that'll be another good game on the girls' side. Both have 2 losses. Both are looking to kind of move up. I think that will be really interesting between both of those teams. But what really stood out to me is the top 25 in both the boys and the girls. So it's kind of incredible. On the boys' side, 7 teams are in the top 25 in boys across max reps across the whole nation. And then for the girls' side, you have 6 teams that are in the top 25 in the country for girls across the nation, but they live in Georgia. So for one, starting at number 4 is Blessed Trinity, 5 is Roswell, 6 is North Paulding, 7 is West Forsyth, 12th is Fellowship Christian, at 20 it's North Oconee, and then 25 is North Gwinnett. And then for the girls, the 6 teams that are in the top 25 across the country: 3 Milton, 5 Creekview, 8 Blessed Trinity, 10 Johns Creek, 21 Roswell, and then West Forsyth at 24. So all these teams have been having incredible seasons. They've really shown what they can do, and just showed like their talent. And then I did actually my lacrosse rankings on AJC and on Score Atlanta, and some major kind of shifts. For me, I put North Paulding number 1 over North Gwinnett and West Forsyth. I just think their wins they've had this season have been great. They've had some staple wins. West Forsyth, both of these teams are undefeated. North Paulding's 8-0. West Forsyth is 9-0. North Gwinnett just has 1 loss, not counting out Lambert, who is my number 4. They're 7-2 this year. Still got my eye on them. Far as just they can make some noise out there in 7A. And then in 5A, 6A, I got Blessed Trinity, my number 1, Roswell, my number 2. Dunwoody having a really surprise season. They're my number 3 at 10-1 this year. And then 4 is Alpharetta, and 5 Lakeside Evans. And then Class A 4A for the boys, Fellowship Christian has been having a phenomenal year, as well as North Oconee. North Oconee has really been impressing at 8-0 record. Wesleyan at 7-1, Benedictine at 6-0, and then Oconee County at number 5. And then in the girls for 7A, Milton, defending state champions, really great program. Tim Godby's doing a phenomenal job with that girls program. They're very competitive. It seems like they have fun out there. They have a nice flow to their game. I think that's a team that's going to be right there towards the end. They will have a little bit of competition. I think Collins Hill is going to kind of be that outside team that's going to kind of give them a little bit of competition going into the state tournament and things like that. They're having a great year. They're 8-0 right now. And then Carrollton, they're 8-1 this year. That's another team to kind of keep your eye on as a sleeper. North Paulding 7-1, and then West Forsyth is 5-1 out there in 7A. And then 5A, 6A. I mean, this is really surprising. This is why I have them as my number one. Debuted them as my number one this week. Johns Creek actually beat Blessed Trinity. It was a great game. They had a great victory. Just want to learn more about her team. I think they're having a great season. Go and beat Blessed Trinity, who was at the top. Give them their first loss all year long. They're just doing great things there. So they're my number one. Blessed Trinity is my number two. And then Creekview is still undefeated at 7-0. They're my number three. They are right up there. Lakeside Evans still undefeated at 7-0. And then Roswell is 6-2 in the girls' side. And then as far as Class A through 4A, I have Lovett, my number one, despite the one loss they suffered. It was an out-of-state loss. So, those, obviously a loss is a loss, but those I don't count as much. When you start suffering in-state losses, that kind of changed the rankings a little bit for me. So I still have them as my number one. Pace Academy is my number two at 6-0. Stars Mill is my number three at 6-0 as well. And then number four and number five is Fellowship Christian and Mount Pisgah. But let's go ahead and give a shout out to some of the people that have been having a great season so far on the boys' side. Just leading the way in Georgia, having a great season. Kevin Strasser, 37 goals this year for Evans. The reason why they're in the top 5 of my rankings, they're having a great season. He's had a phenomenal run at it, and he could potentially even make an all-region or all-state team if he keeps it up. Luke Waterworth for Norfolk County has 34 goals. He's tied for second, along with Jaden Walston for Hebron Christian Academy. I believe they're 8-2 this season. They both have 34 goals. Aiden Wallow for Lakeside as well, 33 goals this season, and then Jack Godwin for Carrollton has 33 goals. And then as far as assists, Will Taylor's doing his thing out there in Carrollton. I believe they're 8-1 right now. 37 assists this year. He leads by almost 22 assists, more than the second person, which is Finney McClendon. He has 19 for Carrollton as well. So they're doing a good job of distributing the ball and getting their teammates involved. And not all about scoring there for them. So that's my number two. Number three is Gabe Leclerc. 18 assists this season for McIntosh, having a great year. Holden Morrison's number 4. Alpharetta, 18 assists, tied with Gabe Leclerc. And then number 5, Jacob Anderson for Norfolk County, 17 assists this season. And as far as points, Will Taylor leads the way. Despite him having 37 assists, he's also been scoring as well, but he leads the way with 59 points for Carrollton. Aiden Wallow, second with 49. Finney McClendon, third with 48. And then Kevin Strasser, fourth with 45. And then ground ball, Sean Wheeler for Carrollton, another standout, 85 ground balls for him this year. Nicholas Magalone at 77, and then Carl Matthew Hall with 61. And then biggest takeaways, this is basically what you see in lacrosse, being able to get interceptions, being able to get the ball from the other team, giving it back to your offense. Another key part of the game, Hayes Griffin for Hebron Christian leads the way in that with 26. Liam Laney, Carrollton with 24. Josh Haynes, Norfolk County of 21. And then also Brady Corkle for Alpharetta with 21. And then goals against average, leading the way is Caleb Ellison with 2.873, and then Dorian Hafner with 3.200. And then last but not least, the save percentage, Patrick Christ for Hebron Christian, 0.682. Noah Jordan with 0.669, and then Liam Demko, 0.657. So, as you guys can see, what really stood out for me from this list is that Hebron Christian's on here a lot, Carrollton's on here a lot, Evans is on here a lot. So those are the teams you're seeing at the top of the rankings, especially mine that I come up with together. And it's certainly a reason why they're playing good team lacrosse this season, and they've been showing out on both sides of the ball. So definitely excited to see what happened. And if you guys go to scoreatl.com, you can see my rankings as far as on AJC. As well, just, looking at the teams, and, I think I'm going to try to catch a game before, their season's over, or even a playoff game if I have time. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Basketball kept us very, very busy. It was really hard to do anything. We had to do the whole coverage. We did starting from the first round of 32 all the way to the championship game. So we was very busy with that. So I couldn't do as much coverage on lacrosse as I could. But now that it's spring, I'll definitely be talking about that more. And the spring sports that's going on right now, if you guys don't know, is going to be soccer, lacrosse, and then baseball. Those are the major sports going on, right now in the spring. So we're going to take a quick break, guys. Take a sponsor, Georgia Farm Bureau. We're going to see you on the other side with a tell of the tape for Jaron Samuel Winterboro.
Our mission has always been to support Georgia farmers. That's why we created Georgia Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company. providing financial protection that farmers needed. While this remains the same today, we've grown to protect all Georgians through home, auto, and life insurance. From the very beginning and into the future, we stand for every Georgia community.
We are our Farm Bureau.
All right, guys, so we are going to roll the tape. We're going to analyze some film for Jaren Samuel. He's a freshman. He really impressed me this season. He was an all-region, I believe, selection. He has a bright future ahead. This season, he's had 12.4 points per game, 61 made threes, 41% that he shot, 26-point season high, unanimous all-region team selection in his freshman year. He has a very, very bright future, I think. So I just want to analyze his film and what he's been doing in the league. So let's go ahead and pull it up. All right, guys. So Jaren Samuel again. His first play, you're going to see him anticipate the ball very well, and he's going to make an incredible play. I'm going to slow it down after this play right here. But look, great anticipation. He got his eye on the opponent, but still, boom, he sees it. And then look at this finish right here. Two defenders. Look at him get under and reverse the layup. I mean, that's an incredible play. Again, we're going to slow it down some, but I think great anticipation here, from him to be able to see what's going on, read it, get the steal, go the other way. And one thing that stands out to me about him, he has great finishing ability, and he shoots the ball very well, very silky smooth jumper. But here, I mean, again, that reverse layup with two defenders, just a phenomenal play. I had to slow that down. Very, very bright future for the kid. Here, just a great crossover, boom, good float, gets the basket. I mean, that was a good play right there. Here, you're going to see him come off, just a great, deep jumper, knocks it down. And the moment from when he catches the ball and shoots, it's really quick. He doesn't take time to put it down. He just kind of catches it and then goes up with the kind of forward motion. So that really stuck to me. This play here, good little drop step, be able to get in there, draw contact, and get the foul. Phenomenal play here. Here, just a good jab step, gets to the hole, passes. Great playmaking ability there to get the dunk. Here again, he's going to use his jab step, get some room from the defender, knock down the jumper. And then here he's going to drive coast to coast, get to the hoop, get to the lane, makes the layup. Here, I like this play. I'm going to slow this down too, just so you guys can see it a little bit better. But look here. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3. It's open, but he's like, okay, boom, I'm gonna go to the hole. Defender's right there. I'm going to put it away from him, and I'm going to lay it up where he cannot block the shot. So great drive play there. Here, just a good knockdown jumper. Again, I like his jumper. It's silky smooth, very quick, I think. Doesn't allow the defense to adjust to it. And, again, to shoot 41% in your freshman year, I mean, that's pretty good shooting-wise. I mean, some NBA players don't even shoot 40%. So, I mean, for him, obviously, he'll continue to grow on that, continue to improve it. But I think he has a really good jumper, really good jab step, good job playmaking there. He just drived and kicked it, drew the defense in, and drove and kicked it there. Good jump shot, shoots it deep. Here he just gets a good float in the lane. Here, boom, right past the defender, right to the cup every time. So, I mean, he has different levels to his game. It's not just shooting. It's not just driving, but he can play make. He's a good jab step, like I said. Get to the lane with ease, convert in the lane at the cup, and has a great jumper. So, I mean, he's a bright future. The ceiling for him is limitless, and he hits a lot of good, deep shots. So, if you're not going to guard him or contest him, it's going to be very difficult for you. So, I was really impressed with his film. He does a great job just, getting his teammates involved and, making great plays here. Jab step again. Boom. Finds his teammate for the open shot. He knocks it down. I mean, another great play. Here again, just a deep jumper. It doesn't matter. He knocks it right down. Same thing here. I mean, just a silky smooth jumper. Knocks it down every time. Great talent there for Windoboro. They have a guy I think they can build around in the next coming years. Only a freshman this year. Still has a lot of growth left. He'll be a sophomore next year. I'm sure there's some things he can take as long as he keeps playing, getting in those camps and making sure to go to different showcases and things like that. I'm pretty sure, without a doubt, at least by his sophomore season starting or even after, he'll have some D1 offers definitely on the plate for him. So just want to give him a shout-out. He's extremely bright future ahead of him. Really enjoy analyzing his tape. Definitely go to huddle.com and search his name if you want to see it. But before we transition, we're going to talk a little bit more about lacrosse. I'm going to cover the girls' side, just as far as the leaders, stat leaders in Georgia that has been really making a difference for their team. Emma Linscott, she leads Georgia in goals right now. She's been phenomenal, 64 goals for her. Regan Flanagan for Lakeside as well, 58 goals. So if you count that between those two, That is 112 goals. So they are a force offensively. So I'm sure they're tough to stop. Marisa Davis for Cherokee has 43. Avery Hudson for Mount Perrin Christian, she has 40. And then Ava Uphughes has 39. And then as far as assists goes, Perry Mixon has 19, Claire McDonald has 16, Lily Scott has 16, and then Roshni Chimale has 14, and Ruby Kelly has 13 assists this season. And then as far as points, Emma Linscott leads it for Lakeside, 73 points this season. Regan Flanagan is right behind her with 61 points. Avery Hudson with 53 points for Mount Perrin Christian. Marissa Davis for Cherokee with 48, and then Delaney Gossart with 44 for Ola. And then for ground balls, Lily Scott leads Cherokee with 52. Kylie Nelson with Whitewater has 41. Carly Platko with 40, and Alex Whitecliff with 34, and then Regan Flanagan again on this list again with 31. Getting goals against average, Abby Stewart leads it with Noonan 2.259, Lindsay Austin with 3.869, Haley Lambeth with 4.901, and then Valerie Susino with 5.376. And the save percentage, Abby Stewart on the list again, 0.75%. Haley Lambeth with 0.695. Faith Strickland with 0.676. And then Annie Wise with 0.585. And also Kaylin Curry for Ola with 0.563. So that's what I got as far as lacrosse coverage for this week. Let me see, guys. Hold on one second. Look this up really quick. All right, so let's talk a little bit about. Obviously, I have my top 10 headlines, but I'm going to wait a little bit for that because I have to get the coach on at 2:40. So I'm going to wait a little bit for that. But let me ask Craig. Craig, what's been going on in baseball?
Parkview looks really good. They haven't lost within the state. North Oconee had a great year last year, won the first ever state title, but Cherokee Bluff beat them earlier this week. They took over number one. Cartersville still looks great, haven't lost in the state. They're leading 5A right now. I also think in 6A it's going to be really interesting. Blessed Trinity in Houston County. You were talking about the national rankings. Houston County is up there with Parkview as the highest.
Mm-hmm.
But Blessed Trinity is a team that is really going to give them a lot of trouble. And you look at the rest of 6A, Pope, Alatoona, Lassiter, Etowah, defending state champion, Woodstock.
Yep.
It's pretty stacked.
Sounds like it, yeah. I mean, for me, I think, again, as Craig alluded to, Parkview is another team that just been having a great year. Them maintaining the one spot. They got Colin Hulk, obviously, who's their senior. I'm sure he's been having a great season. Cherokee, though, is kind of surprised.
First game. Cherokee lost the first game.
Yep.
Lost since.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to see them so high, but 12-1. I mean, that's a really good start to the season. And then Denmark's in there, Walton and North Paulding. So baseball has been interesting this season. 6A, Blessed Trinity looks like they're up there again, along with Houston County. Pope there is our number 3. Alatoona is number 4. Etowah is number 5. So them teams having a good season. Cartersville, top of class 5A, along with Greenbrier and McIntosh. North Oconee leading 4A, along with Cherokee Bluff and Benedictine. 3A, it looks like we got Harlem and Savannah Christian, Calvary Day. 2A, we have Mount Perrin, Fellowship Christian, and Jeff Davis. And then Class A Division 1, Prince Avenue Christian, Elbert County, and Metter. And then Class A Division 2, Charleston County, Johnson County, and Clinch County. But let's look up some statistics from this season, guys. And let's talk about that as far as just baseball. And then we might get into a little bit of soccer. So let's see. Let's do stat leaders. All right, so batting average right now, Alonso Rodriguez leads Cristo Ray Atlanta with a 0.75 average. Pretty good. Excuse me. Raymond Tinch for Monroe and Albany, Georgia, 0.68. Javon Bost of Groves, Garden City, Georgia, 0.667. Ethan Miner with Cristo Ray Atlanta as well, 0.667. Caleb Joyner for Cross Creek with 0.615. Looks like they have some really good batters there out there in Cristo Ray. Home runs this season, Maddox Munsar leads with 4. Like he's tied with Caden Brown, Bailey Thorne, Cody Lee, and Cade Brown for Parkview. Slugging percentage looks like Caleb Joyner leads Cross Creek with 1.692. Alonzo Rodriguez right behind him, 1.250. Blake Bellflower with 1.250. Jay Braylon Mulkey with 1.176. And then Caden Brown with 1.161. And then RBIs, Taylor Pugh from Monroe leads 23 this season. Peyton Gardner, East Jackson with 21. Judson Hartwell, Prince Avenue Christian with 20. Stephen Taylor with 20 for Stevenson. And then Bailey Thorne with Calvary Christian with 19. Then you have runs this season. Ashton Pass for Walker, 25. Jabraylon Mulkey with 22 from Monroe. Hunter Elder with 21 for McIntosh County Academy. Brian Swinton, 21 for Jenkins. Tyler Conley with 21 from Monroe. On base percentage, Ethan Miner leads that with 0.833%. Alonzo Rodriguez, 0.078. Javon Bost with 0.778 as well. Seth Getter was 0.765 for Woodland. And Raymond Tinch with Monroe, 0.724. And then stolen bases, Caleb Kloss. You guys might know that name. He plays for Sandy Creek. He has also played football. I think he's committed, or actually he's signed to North Carolina. He has 51 stolen bases this year. A big advantage for him. He's leading that by 24 stolen bases over the next highest person, which is Javon Bost of Groves, 27. Andrew Carter from McEachern with 26. Ashton Pass for Walker with 22. And then Tyler Conley with 21 from Monroe. And then batters, excuse me, struck out, highest strikeouts this year. Cooper Edwards with 74, having a great season for Perry. Ben McDowell, also for Perry, 57. Josh Tattershaw, 55 for Osborne. Raylan Carvajal, 53 for Berkmar. And then Mason Schoonover, 52 for Columbus. No hitters. Cameron Cox, Mason Davis, and Jacoby Hendricks leads that. And then fielding percentage, Gavin Brinkley for Lee County, James McGee for Ola, and then Peyton Gardner for East Jackson. Ben Chatham for Prince Avenue Christian, and then Alex Shaw for Cherokee. Excuse me, guys. But yeah, that's what leads the rankings right now, far as in the state. I'm curious to see who's one of the top teams. Looks like they have top teams according to Max Preps. Blessed Trinity, number 1, 16-1 record, having a good season. Cherokee Bluff, number 2, with 13-0 record. Tiff County with 12-2 record. Harlem with a 13-0 record. Cherokee with a 15-1 record. Pope 11-3. Norfolk County 10-1. Cartersville 9-2. Parkview 8-3. And then Greenbrier 11-2.
Harlem just swept Greenbrier. So
Harlem just swept Greenbrier.
yeah,
Wow.
they look really good.
Interesting. Okay. Having a good season, I see. All right. All right, guys. So that is the coverage as far as the spring sport. I'm going to look up soccer now as well. All right. So Jose Sanchez for Portal, 60 points this season. This is on the boys' side as well, guys. Carson Gidwell, 56 for Harlem. Charlie Williams, 55 for Blakely County. Nick Carano, 54 for Levitt. Caleb Swinson for Islands, 49. Charlie Williams leads in the most goals scored this year, 26. Jose Sanchez right behind him with 25. Carson Gidwell with 21. Nick Carano with 21. And then Andreas Bonilla with 20. All right, and then assists, Justin Green, Harlem, 18. Fernando Ramirez, Brooks County with 16. Jerson Tiznado with 15 for Shaw. Nehemiah Reyes with 14 for Portal. Carson Gidwell for Harlem with 14 as well. And then saves this season, Isaac Harris for Baldwin leads that with 138. John Smith for Valdosta with 120. Ricardo Sanchez Hernandez with 118. Damari Foster with 112. And then for Dublin, and then 108 for Jace Peters for Social Circle. So those are the leaders right now. The top teams, according to Max Prep rankings as well. McIntosh, 13-0 this season. Dalton, number 2 at 10-2. Veterans, 13-0. Blessed Trinity at 9-2. Glen Academy, Brunswick, 11-0. South Forsyth, Cumming, 10-1. Lambert at the top with lacrosse and soccer, 9-1-1 this year. Southeast Whitfield County, Dalton, 10-1-1. Johnson, Gainesville, 11-0 this year, having a great season. Lanier, 11-0-1. Johns Creek, 10-1-1. Sprayberry, 9-2. Greenbrier, 9-2. Riverwood, 10-2. Walton, 8-2-2. Collins Hill, 11-2. Gainesville, 10-2. Lassiter, 8-2. Mill Creek, 9-2. Denmark, 6-1-1. River Ridge, 8-3-1. Hillgrove, 9-1-1. St. Pius, 7-2-2. Rome, 5-2-1. And then Richmond Hill, 9-1-1. So those are the top teams. Let's see, as far as the rankings for boys, if there's any Georgia teams. Okay, so actually in the top 25, according to Max Preps, a couple Georgia teams on here. Just updated on Monday. Right now, they actually got Chapin, South Carolina is number 1, but they have McIntosh at 13-0. They're number 2. Dalton's number 3 with 10-2 record. Veterans is number 4 in the country at 13-0. Let's see, South Forsyth is in there at 10-1 record at number 8. Blessed Trinity is in there at number 6. Glen Academy is in there at number 7. A lot of good Georgia teams. Lambert, number 9. Southeast Whitfield County, number 10. Johnson, Gainesville, number 13 in the country. Number 16, Lanier. 17, Johns Creek. 18, Sprayberry. 19, Greenbrier Evans. And then 20 is Riverwood. And then 23 is Walton. So that's a lot of teams in the top 25 rankings for Max Prep. So it's a lot of good Georgia soccer teams in the state. So definitely stay tuned for that. We're going to take one more quick break. I'm going to see you guys on the other side. I'm going to talk about my top 10 headlines until weekend, and then we'll conclude the show with an interview with John Creek head coach Stephanie Mathewson for Lacrosse.
Our mission has always been to support Georgia farmers. That's why we created Georgia Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, providing financial protection that farmers needed. While this remains the same today, we've grown to protect all Georgians through home, auto, and life insurance. From the very beginning and into the future, we stand for every Georgia community.
We are our Farm Bureau.
All right, guys, so let's do this top 10. I'm going to get this before I get the coach on. So, she's ready? Okay. You know what? I'll just bring her on. I'll do my top 10 then to conclude. Hey, Coach, how you doing? Yeah, it looks that way. No, you're good. All right, see if we can get her back on. All right, gotcha. I'll bear with me. I'm going to just see if I can. She was on there earlier. See if she wants to come on earlier or at the 2:40 slot. Wow, looks like Maryland's up right now, Craig. Oh,
They got it.
yeah, they are up.
They call foul on that.
Like a clean block to me.
All right, she's still frozen.
Okay. Well, I guess in the meantime, guys, I'm gonna keep you guys just waiting there. But I guess we can talk a little bit about her career. I'm gonna ask her probably with this question anyway. But she had a great career. The head coach for Johns Creek. She's actually a 3-year starter at the State University of New York College at Oneonta. Forgive me for butchering that if I did. She earned All-State League honorable mention. She was a leading scorer, and she has MVP accolades as well. So, I mean, she has a great career. Obviously, I'm getting to that with her. Just kind of why she wanted to become a coach. How has the coaching journey been for her? And just some things that she's taken as far as from her career and her successful career at that, and kind of just applied to her girls now. I think that's very, very intriguing. So, in the meantime, we will start the top 10 until we get her back. I see I can always go back. But I think number one to kind of headline, Isaiah Collier, excuse me, he was named Georgia's Boys Gatorade Player of the Year. Had a phenomenal season. He honestly is. I mean, I seen his game on ESPN when they played Newton, and I was like, yeah, that's the best player in the country. I mean, there's a lot of doubt. They had a great run in the tournament. I thought the best team that was going to beat them was going to be McEachern. Ace Bailey fouls out in that game, and I was like, yeah. Once I learned and heard about that, I was like, yeah, that's probably it because Ace Bailey's their best player. They do have other good players, Hilliard, other phenomenal talent, young guys stepping up, but Ace Bailey is kind of your all around. He posted a triple double in the postseason. 17 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 blocks. So the guy's an absolute stud. Not having your best player in the critical moments is a lot, but I mean, what the Willer program did was incredible. They played a national schedule. They played some of the best teams in the state, and some of the best teams out of the state. And I just want you guys to just they never suffered an in-state loss for the whole season. Only losses they had was out of state. And I just want you guys to listen to this schedule. I mean, imagine putting yourself as a team through this kind of a schedule, right? So let's pull it up. So 26-6 schedule. They play Ottawa this season, North Gwinnett, Grovetown, the defending state champions prior to this year. Kimball, Dallas, Texas, really good team, tournament. Columbus, a great team in Miami. Tampa Catholic from Tampa, Florida, a great team. Centennial from California, a good team. M. Hopt Charter for Philadelphia, a good team. Paul V.I., phenomenal team from Virginia. River Bluff, South Carolina. Keenan, South Carolina. John Marshall, Virginia. Sierra Canyon, California. Played all these great teams and just had a great run to the tournament. And I thought, they put their foot on the gas pedal in the state tournament game, and they never let go. And this is a tough team to stop. Jelani Hamilton, sniper extraordinaire. Isaiah Collier, best player in the country, and probably one of the best bigs in the country, Arrington Page. But that's number one headline. Let's see if we can go ahead and bring on Johns Creek lacrosse head coach. Froze.
She was just on. I saw her moving.
No,
Sorry about that.
no worries. You're all good.
Playing
But,
phone tag.
yep. But, no, it's all good. But, yeah, I mean, again, just to go back to what I was saying about this schedule. I mean, their playoff run, played Milton, North Gwinnett, McEachern. I thought, that was a high classified game. I hate seeing that kind of a game in the Elite Eight. I felt like that game should have been, like a Final Four matchup. Like, you got to give the fans the best games, the guest spots. And I'm going to say that, too, today on the podcast. I think we have to do a better job, just to say included, just getting the best games, get them in the best spots. Like, whether we're going to Georgia Tech, playing at the McCammons Pavilion, or we're playing at Georgia Tech new arena, which is very nice, seeing against some of the highlights of 7A teams that played there in their new stadium. or if we're playing, you know what I'm saying, at an Atlanta school, maybe like a Lovett or something. I mean, it's so much great talent. I don't feel like we highlighted enough in Georgia, especially in the basketball level. I mean, you've had guys that's come out and has been NBA stars. I mean, Jalen Brown of the world. I think Isaiah Collier is going to be that as well. It's been some phenomenal talent that's come from the state of Georgia, and I think we have to do a better job of just highlighting that and doing it kind of how we do our football coverage. Like I love that. Like just for an example, right? I'm not going to reveal everything that we're doing this year, but we do 30 plus games on TV, right? And we have Corky Kell, Great Atlanta Bash, and then we have Drive for the GSA State Title, which is a weekly game that we go and broadcast, right? Now, I'm not saying basketball is tougher because of scheduling and they have games, you know, twice a week and things like that. But even if you don't do it for the regular season, like some of the best games I think that are on the schedule, like some of the top teams, I think we should broadcast those games, you know. And then for the playoffs, like maybe even doing like an Elite Eight at, you know, again at a Georgia Tech or at a Georgia State, right? And then broadcast it on TV. Because, like, what it does is it gives the kids more exposure. Now, it's tough because I know people are going to say, well, you got all these classifications. You got 7A, 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A, Class A, Division 1, Class A, Division 2, right? So, regardless, it'll be tough because those teams have to come from wherever they're at, whether, you know, it's in Savannah or it's South Georgia or it's West Georgia, whatever it may be. But you can't tell me kids wouldn't be excited to know, hey, my game is going to be on TV or the game is going to be broadcasted on TV. I have a chance to show scouts. I have a chance to show different people what I can do with the basketball in my hands. And it might not be, you know, taking the route like a Scoot Henderson took with G League. You know, it might be going to college. But giving them that exposure makes a difference. And just to give you guys an example, a couple players this past season for football, right? You had Bryce Dobson, right? He was not even ranked. Um, Ended his career with a 3-star, going to Georgia Tech, right? Jeremy Alinsky, no stars going into the season, right? He was on so many TV games, right? I think he was at our Corky Kell game when they played Mill Creek. They lost on the game winner, right? They had a game with against North Paulding, right? That game was on there. What was another game? They played Marietta on TV, right? That's 3 games right there. The fourth one, I think they played Carrollton on TV, and then they actually played 5 TV games. They played um, North Cobb on TV, so 6. And then they played Buford on TV. So they had 6 games to showcase whatever they had, which we knew there was a great team. But you take that, and then he was just named, Helinski was just named a 4-star, I think, on Rivals. So he had a phenomenal year. But all that makes a difference. And that's my whole point of it. We just got to be able to get some kind of coverage, I think, and be able to do that for the basketball level because it's such great talent that we don't get to see all the time. And when you have that, and even some of the players that don't always get the notice, it can take them to the next level. So, looks like we have her. Let's see if we can bring her on. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming on. So, talk about you first, Coach. I mean, you had a great career. Where you went to school at? You went to University of New York College at Oneonta. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong.
It's okay.
But you earned All-State, League honorable mention. You're a leading scorer, and you had MVP accolades as well. So, just how was your time in college, and what attracted you to the sport of lacrosse when you were younger? And what were some things you just learned along the journey?
Well, growing up, basketball by far was my favorite sport. Girls lacrosse wasn't a thing in our area when I was little. I did learn how to play the boys sport first. And then when I was in high school, my junior year, a few of us, they were starting some girls lacrosse programs in the area. So a few of my girlfriends got together and got a coach to take us on, and we started the program my junior year. So I played a couple years in high school and really fell in love with it. It quickly, there's a lot of crossover between basketball and lacrosse, so it was easy to pick up. And at that point, decided I wanted to go on and play in college. And, you know, I'm from a small town. It wasn't really there was no one like looking to recruit or anything. So the program at my school had been around quite a bit, and went and I loved it. Being an athlete was important to me, and it was part of my identity and whatnot. So carrying that on into college was something I definitely wanted to do. But it was great. I really enjoyed it. So
Yes, and Coach, how do you feel about just the growth of the sport itself? Like, I think this year they had different classifications. So last year I think it was Class A, through 5A, but now it's Class A through 4A, 5A through 6A, and then 7A has its own individual classification for lacrosse this year. So just what do you think about the growth of it just overall, as far as from the high school level, the collegiate level, and then now professionally, even Georgia has a Georgia Swarm, a professional team. Just what do you think about the growth of the sport?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I've only lived in Atlanta for the past 5 years or so. So coming from upstate New York, lacrosse was huge. So moving down here and just seeing how much it's expanded in just the short amount of time that we've been here has been great. I mean, the ACC adding Clemson and other schools. I'd love to see it expand to the SEC schools too. But the sport overall, continues to grow and improve, not just in expanding numbers, but in the rules and how they change it to continually make it better. So it's exciting to watch and to be a part of for sure.
Yes, for sure. And at what point, coach, did you know, hey, this is a sport I love. This is something I want to coach. I want to be able to give my wealth of knowledge to the next generation and kind of teach them the things I learned from it.
Yeah. Well, so I went to college for teaching. So I'm a teacher by trade. I went for elementary school. And I knew that upon getting my first teaching job, I wanted to have that come along with a coaching position as well. So as I was, had been hired by the school district in upstate New York, I quickly put out there, hey, can you get me in touch with your varsity coach? I'd like to, be a part of the program and whatnot. And so that was an easy transition for me. I love being around the game. And because I'm a teacher by trade, I think it's, very natural. At the core of every coach is a teacher, so it became very natural for me and something that I wanted to do. As it progressed, certainly I have two daughters myself. So once they were old enough to learn the game, I quickly, jumped in to be their coach as well. So that's just how it's progressed. That's why I'm at the high school right now and how that's kind of continued on my path. But I think also, lacrosse is truly a girls' sport in that the way the men's game is played and the way the girls' game is played is very different. And so I think it's important for, females to be coaching the sport, especially ones that have played the game, so that's part of my passion as well. So.
Got you. And then if you can, coach, just elaborate a little bit on that point you just made. Just what are some of the differences between maybe the men's game and then the girls' game?
Yeah, well, even the equipment that we use, a woman's stick is very different than a men's stick. They have a much larger pocket. The numbers on the field, and the way in which, there's so many rule differences. The biggest you'd watch just watching a girls' game versus a boys is, the boys have pads and a helmet, and they can make contact with the stick and whatnot. Whereas girls, it's more of a game of true power, of finesse. So while it can get very physical in a girls' game, certainly it's not nearly as physical or meant to be as physical as the boys' game.
Got you. And then, coach, what do you think is the toughest thing about playing the sport of lacrosse? What are some things like you just have to be ready for, when you're playing or, when you're playing maybe even in a big game?
Yeah, well, it's a skill to be able to catch and cradle, and there's a lot that goes with it versus other sports. There's a lot of technical things you need to learn, but the game has become much more physical. So I think girls dealing with the pressure that comes from a defender on you with a stick and still being able to maintain possession and whatnot. There's also a lot of strategy that goes into it, having lacrosse IQ and things like that play into what makes you a well-rounded player. So.
Yeah, for sure. And, Johns Creek off to a great start, coach. You guys are 9-1 this season. You just picked up a big win. Just, what's allowed your girls to get out to a good start? And then, what have you just seen from them just practice and, them being able to translate that onto the field and on game day?
Yeah, we actually just had another big region win last night. So we're 10-1 right now. Super proud of the start. It's actually, for as far as our program goes, I believe it's, the best start we've had as a program. So this team is special. They are all heart and hustle. They control what we can control, which is attitude and effort. They definitely play for each other. So I think all of those things combined, when you see us out on the field, we really have helped. I have a great staff around me too. We've really helped create a team with good chemistry. And when we play our game, there's nobody we can't beat for sure. So.
Yes.
But the BT win was
Yeah.
huge. That was a big deal for our girls. They're a historically, fantastic team, state champions year after year. Um, and so they also have a lot of, players going to big top teams, D1 programs. So for my players, it was, they're looking at them saying, oh, she's going here, she's going there. And it was important just to normalize it for them. Before the game started, I had them look at them and just say, there are a bunch of girls wearing white jerseys. We're wearing black. You got to play this game, play our game. And, that's what we went out there and did. So,
Yeah, for sure. And then, Coach, I've seen on your schedule three out-of-state games. You got one this Saturday against Baylor, Tennessee. Just what kind of goes
yeah.
behind your scheduling for your girls, and
Mhm.
how has that kind of helped them as well, playing kind of that stiffer competition and playing some of the better teams?
Yeah, so our program has never traveled before. The year of COVID, coaches had tried to put that together, and obviously, that was they had to switch plans with unexpected COVID. But so we traveled. That was more of like a team bonding experience. Traveled out of state. We played, you know, a newer program, and then we played a tough program. And then what we'll be playing this Saturday is part of a women's in lacrosse first annual event that a coach in South Forsyth put together. So we'll be playing Baylor out of Tennessee, which is exciting. So I think it's good for them to see just what's around. A lot of my players play on travel teams, and so they do play a lot of teams from out of state through that. But as a program, it's good to bring in different competition. And certainly see how we compare and stack up.
Yes, and then you just mentioned kind of just the camaraderie with the team, them having the great chemistry, them playing for one another. But just who's been some of the standouts this year, whether it's returning starters or just your girl stepping up in big spots. Sometimes you'll see from year to year a girl has to step up in a spot that she's not accustomed to, but she has to learn the
Yeah.
role and things like that. So just what's been your standouts this year?
Yeah, so I mean, well, we have 8 seniors. One is injured, but I would say, as a whole, that senior class, they have great leadership. What they've brought to the team, as far as their ability to lead, they're humble leaders. They have quiet confidence. They certainly empower everyone. So we have, starting at the attack end, I have a senior who's committed to go to Montevallo, and she has really helped direct the offense. She's a big part of that, and giving everyone the confidence to lead. So I have another senior on attack down there as well. Through the midfield, I have some excellent seniors. Another one committed to go to University of Alabama Huntsville. So she's been doing a great job getting everyone together, leading. And then down on the defensive end, we have another senior, 2 seniors as well. But again, not all of these girls are committed, but they certainly play. They're not looking to play in college, but they certainly play like they are. I mean, they're definitely a force. So, and then our underclassmen are unbelievable. We've had girls. Last year, we graduated 4 All-Americans, one being a goalie, one our top leading attacker. And so those were roles that had to be filled, and our underclassmen are killing it. So we have a goalie right now, a sophomore goalie, who's playing the games of her life right now. And then we have excellent, sophomore on the draw circle, as well as, other sophomores leading and scoring and doing what's needed. But again, I can't stress enough how much this team plays for each other. There really is. Our motto this year, is zero ego, all heart. And that is exactly the definition of this team.
Yes, ma'am. And a quick question for you, just you can kind of educate me a little bit. I'm still new to the sport of lacrosse, but let's say, right, like you got a situation, basically the defender, they get the ball, trying to push the attack. What's the best way to do that? Obviously, you have midfielders and you have your attackers. Do they try to hit the midfield, or do they kind of make kind of that cross over pass all the way to the attacker and let them kind of do their thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, you mean how to transition the ball? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I mean, you quickly teach the girls that the ball moves faster than any one player, right? So running it up is not always what you want, but we have some pretty quick girls, and that has been successful for us. But certainly, it's passing it up, right? You have defenders that then get it to your midfield and then up to your attackers. So would be the main goal on how to move the ball the fastest and outbeat the opponents down the field.
Got you. And then one more question about the attack. I mean, this season you've had 8 of your 10 games, well, now 11. Just you scored double digits. Just I know you mentioned your seniors, but just what's allowed that great just attacking and just kind of getting those points on the scoreboard.
Yeah, actually, a majority of our goals are through assists, which I think is, a sign of an excellent offense. So we are, we've put in a lot of different sets. We continually tweak what we're doing based on who we're going up against, whether we're playing it from down low or up top or from the sides. So it's just really finding a group of girls that can work together for one common goal. No one in the game of lacrosse when they're younger, you tend to find the girls who hold the ball and want to score, and that can break up your offense and take them out of their rhythm. But these girls move the ball quickly; they know what they're doing, and everyone's on the same page. It's to score goals and maintain possession when we need to.
Got you. And then, coach, for you, just what are some things, obviously without revealing too much, that you just work with your girls and in practice to kind of just perfect everything, make sure everything is right and good to go, prior to game day.
Yeah, so it's a lot about knowing who you're going up against. I have awesome staff. I mean, I have awesome parents as well. And they, based on our film review and things like that, we prepare based on knowing who we're going up against, how we did the game before, and, what needs to be tweaked and whatnot. But yeah, so we together, make sure we have our practice plan set. And we're working on what we need to work on. Our players as well know, we lean on them a lot too to tell us what they feel is working and what's not working, so that we can adjust and make those adjustments in practice so that we are all on the same page. But yeah, that's that. I mean, it's a lot of different variables that go into it, but just like any coach, surround yourself with good people and good things will happen. So
That's a good point. That's a good point. But for you, coach, as well, just what's kind of the goals you outlined prior to the season that you want your girls to accomplish, or just kind of the ultimate goal that this Johnson girls lacrosse team, wants to accomplish before the season's over?
yeah, well, I mean, going into this season, we had last year was my first year here, and it was all about laying the foundation and creating a team culture. So this year going into it, the same thing. We don't have huge numbers, that some of the surrounding programs have. So it's getting girls, to stay committed, to want to be involved, and certainly to want to play the game. But as far as, goals we set as a team, it was really just the buying into the zero ego, all heart, playing for each other. And we knew that if we could do that, that success would come. And certainly that's what's unfolding, as our season has progressed. I meet with seniors over the summer. They set goals, and it's always, obviously win region, win state, things like that. But ultimately, we're just going game by game. If we stick to the script, play our game, stay disciplined, then we know that we should come out on top.
Yes. And then, for you, coach, what's just your favorite thing about coaching? I mean, I know to get different responses to this answer, but just what's been your favorite thing so far about coaching girls?
Yeah, I think it's just building confidence in girls is truly what it's about. I mean, as a coach, sure, you can look back on your wins and losses, but truly your record isn't what's really going to matter. It's the impact that you made on the lives. Last year, I've coached a lot of different age groups, and coming into coaching high school girls, was certainly made me a little anxious, I would say, at how it would be being able to direct girls at this age level, and would they be receptive and respectful and all of that. And last year was incredible. Still staying in contact with them. Like I said, I had 4 girls that were All-Americans that went D1. Watching them on TV, is really fun to do. But overall, it's just making an impact on them. A lot of them, lacrosse is part of their identity, and so you want it to be a positive experience for them. So I think coaches can have, huge impacts on girls' lives, and I don't take that lightly, for sure. And certainly either do my other assistant coaches. So it's staying positive with them, helping them, achieve what they want to achieve.
Yes, ma'am. And then final question before I let you go, coach, just, what's an area that, that you want to work on with your girls, or just that, you want them to kind of keep fine tuning, throughout the season, just so that, you can ultimately just, reach your goals?
Yeah, I think it's, with every game, it's just that little bit of improvement. So we continually keep trying to see improvement. and the goals that we set for that game is what we're looking to achieve. So if one area is lacking in the game, by the next game you'll see that increase tenfold. And then another area may fall. So it's just always trying to work to improve and get better in our game and within our team chemistry. So
Got you. Well, I want to say thank you so much, Coach, for joining the show. Pleasure talking to you. Good luck the rest of the season,
thank you.
and go Gladiators.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. All right, guys. So that was the head coach for Johns Creek girls lacrosse team. Again, having a great season. They picked up the win last night at 10-1. They're going to be playing against Baylor, Tennessee, Saturday. So they've been having a great season. I mean, again, their win against Blessed Trinity was big. They're undefeated up until that point. So Coach Mathewson is doing a great job with the group, and obviously her experience that she's kind of attained through playing at college, being an MVP, being a great scorer, great player, great team person. I mean, that's just disseminating in that group. So expect for them to be there at the end for sure. But that's all I got for that. We're going to conclude the show with top 10 headlines. I already revealed one. We're going to finish up with 2 through 10. Number 2, guys, is actually going to be 4-star. We have the image for this that we're going to pull up in just a second. 4-star C.J. Wiley transferred to the Milton Eagles. They add another weapon to that arsenal. This is the picture right here from Luke Winstall. This is major for the Milton Eagles. I have something about that in my kind of final headline about them as a group. But, I mean, you add C.J. Wiley along with DeBron Gatling. Yeah, that offense is going to be something special. So this is a big move for them, big get for them. And I definitely have this as one of my top headlines. This is major key for the Milton Eagles. But number 3, Alatuna names Brad Smith as their new head coach. They go in a different direction. He has a wealth of experience. I think that'll be good for the program, the program that hasn't, I guess been relevant for a little while now. But adding him should definitely help them and kind of going in the right direction. And then number 4, South Paulding, they announced Maurice Allen as their new head coach for a football team. That was major. So, they're going in a different direction. I think that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out for them. Obviously, South Paulding, they were, I think, number 2 in the region last year. Number 1 was Langston Hughes, 2 South Paulding, and 3 was Douglas County. So we'll see what they're able to do next season. They're obviously going to lose some of their talent. Jamario Wilcox going to Kentucky. But curious to see what he can add to that group and, if they're back in competing in the playoffs. So number 5, and we're going to pull this one up as well. Actually, no, not this one. I'm sorry. Reggie Thorpe named Northside boys basketball new head coach. That is number 5. A lot of hirings, a lot of new people, new faces coming in. So that's major. They get a new head coach. But number 6, this is the one that we're going to pull up. Coach Gibbons is leaving the Newton Rams program. This is major. This is a team that has been there, right, each year. Last season, they were in the semifinals, lost to Norcross. This year, in the quarterfinals, lost to Norcross on a late tip-in. He's done a great job with that program, and I think what's underrated about him is that how he can kind of create and how he can kind of cultivate and really grow some of their younger talent, right? Like Stephon Castle didn't come in as no 5-star, right? He came in as a young kid, young basketball player, had some talent, but look where he ended up getting, right? 5-star, McDonald's All-American, one of the best players in the country, right? So I think they do a great job. They're also their JV basketball team won it all this year as well. So I think he does a great job just kind of growing that ingrown talent. Sometimes you'll see kids will transfer over, which makes it easier because the kids are really talented and things like that. But he does a great job, Coach Gibbons, of just, growing, cultivating the talent that's homegrown, and kind of just doing it within the program, not getting really any transfers in, just doing it within the program. So I'm excited to see what the other players can do on the next level. Obviously, Stephon Castle going to UConn, and then obviously you got Ja'Kai Newton going to Indiana. So a bunch of studs on that team. Curious to see who's going to be the new head coach. I think this is major news, him leaving. That's major. Curious to see where he goes. And then number 7, they're going to pull this up as well. This is big, too. Former South Atlanta head coach. They were in our Corky Kell Classic last year. They picked up a win. Great team. They got upset it early in the playoffs, I think quarterfinals. It was a team I had winning it all. I mean, John Tez Adams they had Keywan Brown. They had a bunch of talent all over that team, just constantly knocking on the door. But Michael Woolridge is the new head coach of Pebblebrook Falcons. That is a major. news. I think they're getting a great head coach. He's going to be moving up. Some from I think South Atlanta is what class 2A. He's going to be moving up. I think to 6A, I believe. So that'll be major for him. But I think he's going to bring a good attitude, a good perspective to that program. And again, another one of those programs that hasn't been relevant for a little while now in football. So I think I thought this was a great hire. They knocked it out the box. Look out for Pebblebrook a couple years as he tries to grow that program. And then number 8, Alfonso Ross for Woodville Tompkins. Basketball player signed with South Carolina at Balfort. That was major. He was pretty big in their playoff run, I think, to Elite Eight this season. He had a couple games scored over 20 points. This is a major steal, I think, for South Carolina at Beaufort. This is a major, major result, for them landing Alfonso Ross. I think he's going to add a lot to that team. He's a great scorer, great playmaker, and he'll definitely make a difference. And then number 9, William Dopfer is named the best freshman by Forsyth County Tip-Off Club. This is for basketball. He had a great season class of 2026. He has a lot of talent, very big for them. I think he'll be able to have a lot he can build on from his freshman year going into the next season. And then number 10, Craig, you can go ahead and mark this one down. This is going to be major key, I think. You're going to call me crazy, but I love bold predictions. You know this. I've called some of the biggest upsets, you could say, for the most part. Sometimes I get them wrong, but I don't mind getting some wrong. I called the Walton versus Buford upset. But this one, I'm going to say, I think to close out the show, Milton will be a top team next year, and they're going to make a deep playoff run. You heard it here first. I would not be surprised if they are in the championship game. Now, I know that sounds crazy. You got Carrollton in there with Juju Lewis, who's a phenomenal talent. He is 5-star. He is the creme de la creme, right? Got Bryce Hicks there as well and Caleb Odom. They're all coming back, right? You got Mill Creek, but I just think Mill Creek not having Hayden Clark, not having Caleb Downs anymore, not having Jamal Anderson, they're going to have some guys step up, right? You're going to need King Joseph Edwards to step up. Cam Robinson's going to have another good season. Shane Throckmorton is going to have to be able to step up in his first significant minutes as a starter, right? So they're kind of a question mark, right? You go Grayson. Grayson has a new head coach, Centavius Bryant, excuse me. So I don't know what that Grayson program is going to be. They don't have Coach Adam Carden anymore. They have talent. They have Tyler Atkinson. They have all the talent across the field, but they're not going to have their head coach anymore. They're not going to have JoJo Stone anymore, right? He's with Langston Hughes. So that's a question mark for me. And this Milton team made it all the way to the semifinals last year, right? So you bring another year back with their head coach, Ben Reeves. You're going to have DeBron Gatling. Now C.J. Wiley. We talked a couple shows ago them landing major transfers as far as their defensive line, retooling that, getting some good depth, and then you add another athlete that you can use in a multitude of ways, and you add that with Luke Nickel, who's only going to be a junior next season, who's getting these major offers from different colleges, and they have either a 4 or 5-star tight end that's 6'5", 200 plus. That team is loaded, man. I'm telling you, that team is loaded. So do not be surprised if they're contending for a national title next season. That's it. Their biggest question, I think, will be obviously their offensive line, seeing who's still there, returning starters, new players, things like that. But everything else, and obviously safety positions and things like that. But everything else, they've checked it off. I think they've done a good job just getting some guys coming in, some transfers, landing major players, getting athletes to go along with DeBron Gatling so the pressure's not all on him. They are going to be locked, and they're going to be loaded. So that is a team to watch out for next season. I think they're going to have a great year. Don't be shocked if they make a state playoff run. You heard it from here. Heard it from me first. So when it happens next season, you can roll the tape back to this clip right here. But all right, guys, that's all we got for today for Keeping It Real with Najee Wilkins. Happy Friday Eve to everybody. Go watch some college basketball. It's going to be a very fun weekend. Nothing but basketball all weekend. We got games today, games tomorrow, games Saturday, games Sunday. It is the best time of the year. It's so much to watch. Great basketball. So go watch some basketball this weekend, and hope you guys have a phenomenal day and a great weekend. And I'll see you guys next week for another episode, of Keeping It Real with Najee Wilkins. See you then. Peace.